I can't measure my own intelligence because that's something that I refuse to do.
Yeah.
Is I kind of refuse to say I'm at this level because if I go above it, it's arrogance, and if I go and ignorance, and if I go below it, it's limiting myself. So I refuse to do that for myself, but I would hate to see as I move on with this next era of my life and change to try and better myself as a being so that the thing that I describe as myself as Kerry McKinney, I describe myself in 10 words or less as this thing. And as I try to reach that goal, I don't want to see the Alpha Plus John Harbeck.
Not happen.
I don't want to see. I don't want to see. I don't want to see Delta or Beta John Harbeck hanging around and walking around and just learning, but not in the best way that he could, or not doing something that would make him the happiest and have him achieve his goals the most.
I want to tell you two parables or two allegories. I don't know what the best word is, but word. There's a guy like racing on a track, and like while he's racing, he's with his friend and they're racing.
Yeah.
And as they start racing, like the one friend starts pulling ahead like really far.
Yeah.
And he ends up beating the other friend. And so the guy who's behind, the guy's behind is like, man, I couldn't even catch up to you. But when I was trying to run as fast as I could. I imagined something behind me to see if I go faster. And then his friend said, I don't imagine anything behind me. I imagine I'm the one chasing. Fuck.
You actually got that right.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound right because if he's chasing him, then he'd be behind him.
No, if you were chasing him, then you want to catch him. So you're going to go faster than the guy in front of you.
Yeah.
So you're setting a goal
still
that you're going faster than
I think I just... Never mind.
I like what you did. I don't think you fucked it up at all. What's the second one?
The second one was, so one man's definition of hell is the person you are meets the person you could have been.
Yeah. And that, honestly, I know that right now, if I had done everything that I set out to do, and I had done everything that I wanted to do, and I had stuck to my guns, and I had stuck to my goals, the person I would be now, if I met them, that allegory would hold true, and it would be my personal hell, because for multiple reasons, there have just been things in my life that I've never...
Well, it's like the worst feelings is like jealousy, or like the worst feeling is inadequacy. Especially as a guy, it's like...
Not even inadequacy so much as, to me, it would be the fact that...
Well, it's what bad for me is just like, it just feels so petty because...
Yeah.
And not achieving your goals, like, it feels petty too because it's so easy. It's so easy to really do what you want to do. Yeah. It's like, it's probably the easiest thing to do because if you're just doing the right thing, you're following your heart. It's a recording also.
Oh, sweet.
Like, when you're following your heart's desire, you're really doing what you want to do. That should be the simplest and easiest thing.
Yeah.
But it seems so hard because it's like, oh, there's no precedent for it, or it's like it's going against something that was set out to be like, oh, this is the right thing. But you're like, sometimes you have to break the law, like the own law you've made inside your heart, which is, or not in your heart, but inside your mind. Like, you built these laws of this is what's right, this is what's okay, and I'm not going to break that ever. Like, I'm going to wake up this time, I'm going to go sleep this time, I have to follow the rules, I have to go to the job, blah, blah, blah. And it gets harder and harder because if you just follow the customs that are set up for you, like get the job, do this, do that, do that, do that, all of a sudden you're caught up in this web of just like, what the fuck? I don't want to do this. I don't want to have this wife. I don't want to have these kids. And then you bring that shit to the rest of your life. Like, I feel like my parents didn't even want me. Like, that's horrible to say, but they're caught up in such selfish things that because of how selfish it was, that
for a lot of people, having a kid is a way to say to themselves and say to the world and say to the kid that they're moving on into the next phase of their life.
It's like it's like a fashion item. Not maybe a fashion item, but maybe like a yeah, it's just like the new job. It's the new thing I have to do. And you have these parents who are like, they don't know why they have the kid. It's like, I'm just gonna love the kid as much as I can. Like that's good. Like that's probably a good thing. Like people want to define themselves in a positive way, so they define themselves through having kids. Like that's what a lot of women do apparently. It's like, define themselves through kids.
I do. I think I have a reason for having kids, and when I say it in my head, it sounds selfish. Because I want to. If I have kids, it's because the reason that I would is I want to bring another human being into this world who has the potential to be more productive, happier, and accomplish their goals more than I did. And
But you don't want to have that son where you're just like, go to Little League.
no.
And then,
It's
like-
not my goals. It's his goals. Whatever
Yeah.
his goals are, I want to give him the opportunity to accomplish them. I'm not going to live vicariously through my children.
Yeah.
I just want to make them happier than I was ever able to be, even though I have a good life. I want to make them happier than I was ever able to be, and help them to achieve whatever goals they choose better. Because,
That'd be awesome.
yeah, it's like, that's...
Because I've kind of had like an unhappy life up to this point.
I know you have.
No, it's
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of weird how I went from being like, for whatever reason, this keeps sticking in my head. It's just like, there's two things that my friend said that really stuck with me, and like, there's other moments that I'll remember once in a while, just because of whatever reason. It's like, one of the things he said to me is like, you used to be the funniest kid. You used to be the funniest kid. And it's just like, this keeps sticking with me. It's like, I used to be like a class clown, like a lot. I would be like talking out in class and be like super loud and just like, I would like talk back to the teacher and stuff like that. Like I was kind of
A dick?
I was like, I would tell the teacher, I don't know, I can't really remember anything specific. This is like onwards up to like certain age. Like it got to the point where I think the reason I got so far behind was because I didn't have a girlfriend for a long time. I just didn't want to have a girl. Like I was really picky. But when I say that, like I was unhappy a lot of the times because like I would desire something and not go after it.
Mm-hmm. He always yells, don't worry. He's a nice guy. He doesn't like hurt his kids or anything. Like, I'm talking about my neighbor right now because John just heard him say and yell something undistinguishable, but we couldn't know. It wasn't too loud, but he's a loud guy and he's hearty. He's like, ah! And he's loud like that, he's not like,
Yeah.
which a lot of people will confuse that hearty, like, loudness for like, fuck you, get inside, like angry loudness. Anyway,
Yeah, and it's things like that where people.
yeah.
If
Man,
I
you used to be such the funniest guy before you started acting like that. Didn't you, Tim? Tim's not really there. I'm using that as an example. Can I
Yeah,
tangent
the
for a
window's
second?
closed.
Can I tangent for a second?
What are you asking me?
Did you have a moment in life, like where you were a child or you were a young teenager or something, where you turned on? Like,
Just self-aware.
yeah, like the moment you became, like you were able to become self-aware, because I've heard talks from other people who had that moment, and I myself, to this very day, I remember the exact moment that I turned on. And so I was
It's
like,
kind of
oh,
interesting.
I was wondering if you had anything like that.
It's like I actually will write down just random thoughts and like
Yeah.
I may have actually remembered it and wrote this down, or I may have just like visualized it. But like what I wrote down was like my first self-conscious moment.
Yeah.
Like that's what it would be. But like, what's the idea of self-consciousness? Is the idea of like someone making fun of you
I don't
and you
really
become
know.
self-conscious. So it's like,
Self-aware, I suppose would be a better way to say it.
and I think it might have been like even with porn. Like honestly,
Really?
yeah, like becoming aware of that like shame, like that guilt. Like I think it's once you like fill out this emotional circle, like all the,
Yeah.
you feel all the different emotions, and it's all of a sudden poof.
I-
But it's like my mom caught me looking at porn, and it was just like I felt so guilty, and I would like start locking the bathroom door, and my mom would freak out and be like, "Why are you locking the bathroom door?" And like I'm closing it because I'm gonna take a shower. Like, why would I want to have the door open if I take a shower? And like everybody else would lock the door and take a shower. And I don't know. I've had some fucked up childhood.
I have two questions.
What?
But one thing and one question, because sharing that moment with you, the moment that I turned on was
Like, if you say, I might remember mine.
6th or 7th grade, maybe 6th or 7th grade. It was early on. I was just walking from the building of my middle school.
Yeah.
And you walk out of the building, and it's a big building. It's 1 story. You walk out of it onto the sidewalk, and you walk about 10 feet out of the door, and you turn right, and there's this big asphalt pavement, and then further on that is gravel, and then beyond that, stretching probably 4 or 5 times the size of the building, is just big grass green area and a playground.
Yeah.
And I remember all of my classmates and stuff were way in front of me and stuff, and I was walking behind, or I might have even been a little bit in the middle, but I remember there was very few people, if anyone, in front of me, and I was just walking, and I remember walking on the asphalt to that playground, and then I just remember, boom, I became self-aware, and I literally, even at this age, I stopped. I remember stopping, and I remember saying, whoa, and I remember thinking, like, actually thinking a self-thought for the first time.
Like, I am, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, like, whoa, that was crazy. What happened?
I think that's,
I am here, you know?
it's like getting out of a cult, almost.
Yeah.
Like, if you have a lot of experience with, like, people trying to get into your mind, like,
Yeah.
be like authorities trying to get into your head, basically.
Yeah.
And they'll be, like, trying to get into your thoughts. And, like, one way it would be, like, Catholic religion, where they're trying to make you confess what you're thinking.
Yeah.
And they use all these sorts of emotional tricks, so they'll know you're thinking at any given time. If you're not thinking that, you're not part of the group.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to, like, feign guilt, or you have to feign blah, blah, blah. And girls get really good at faking emotion because of that. Like, because there's 2 parts of being a human being, being and seeming.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really important is, like, the vanity aspect, like, seeming. You have to seem perfect.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's actually perfect, but you have to seem like a good person, or
Mm.
people are gonna hate on you or talk shit about you, and no one can handle, like, having like a bad reputation, having shit talked about them, or having, like, these negative emotions, negative feelings. And the only way to really disengage from that is to be enlightened, to be, like, super happy. It's like, to go through bad experiences, it becomes a good experience. Like, the worst things that happen to you are being in, like, having bad relationships actually build you up in a good way.
Yeah.
So it's like, should you be valuable, or should you be happy that you had torturers in your life? It's like, anybody that's been tortured, like, they're usually, like, it's like probably the best thing that ever happened to them in like a weird way. It's like, my stepdad is a horrible person to me, and, like, hurt me in a lot of ways, but probably the best thing that ever happened to me. And maybe I would have developed the same way and
Yeah.
without him, but it's just like, if I think of, like, how I've had to develop because of this thing, it's like,
Yeah.
I had to, like, blast through this wall of just, like, of just, like, badness, and I know that I can still be that bulldozer through, like, evil all the time.
And
Like,
not
I've had to be.
not just evil. You can, knowing that now, you can be that bulldozer through any obstacle or any goal that you have in life. You know, for
Yeah.
you. And so, if you could sum up this conversation.
Well, like, self-aware thing is kind of interesting.
Yeah. So if you can sum up the highlight points of this conversation in 5 different sentences, what would they be?
Well, can I talk about something else first?
Yeah. Go right ahead.
So, I think every single day is Groundhog Day.
Because every single day you're in a way repeating.
Yeah.
And then changing.
Every single day you have to repeat the same, like, you're repeating the same thing, but you're also learning from the past day. So it's like, your dreams sum up, like, your dreams sum up everything that's ever happened to you. What?
You're repeating the ordinary. Bum bum bum. Bringing you back to the start of the conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like you repeat the ordinary. It's like, what was it? Like, do the dishes, reach enlightenment, do the dishes.
Yep.
Nothing changes. So
Except the reach enlightenment part. That's kind of.
yeah, reach enlightenment part where you're just fucking just, like, at peace all the time. But it's just
Yeah.
like,
We were just like you like scrape gunk off your chicken pan, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, that's meaning of life.
you're just like, just fucking, yeah, that's awesome. Like, meaning of life is just an otter chilling in the water, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm an otter.